Now, listen up.
3, 2, 1.
It's showtime.
That's great.
This is ridiculous.
99.3 The Truth.
You can't handle the truth right now.
Ooh. That's the stupidest thing I ever heard.
Let's do it.
Hit it.
It's time for Mac's World.
And here we go.
Everybody, let's get it started. Let's get it started.
Call Mac 244-0077 or text 809-0993.
It's showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Exclusively on 99.3 The Truth.
It's 7 minutes after 3 o'clock on the 29th day of June in the Lord's year 2016. I'm J. Michael McCoy, and here we are back in the saddle again. Whoa! Feel like Roy Rogers. Come on, Buttercup, let's go. All right, we have a great show today. I've got some news stories that are just, I mean, you'll think they're not real. You will think a couple of these news stories are, fake news. But they're not. They're the real thing, and they're all happening right around us, except the big story that happened down in Texas or something like that. You're just not going to believe that. Frank, how are you today?
Good. That was Gene Autry back in the saddle again.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Did somebody tell you that on text,
no,
or you just know that?
Well, I happen to know that because I used to be a California Angels baseball fan, and he owned the California Angels.
And what was Gene Autry's horse's name?
I
Smarty Pants.
couldn't tell you that.
Okay, then we're going to stick with the Lone Ranger, or no, not Lone Ranger.
Gene Autry, back in the saddle again.
Are you sure somebody else didn't sing that?
I don't know.
I bet Dolly Parton sang it once or twice.
Okay.
Robert, how are you?
Let's
nice to see you. Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat, as well as the Service Legends Truth text line. I have something in my hand that I have not had in my hand on the radio for I don't know how many years. And that is a cup of Chris Roloff's homemade coffee. And it might be the single worst cup of coffee I've ever tasted. He buys these generic pods with the coffee that's swept up off the floor at the coffee house. I mean, Maxwell House, good to the last drop? Yeah, I don't think so. Chris, seriously, do you make coffee at home? Hey, girlfriend.
Yeah, I'm not going to enter into this. 99% of what you just said is absolute fabrication and not true.
99%.
Yeah, the one part that was true is it's coffee and I made it.
Okay, and what wasn't true? That it's made in these pods.
Right, they're not pods.
Well, what do you call them?
It's coffee in a filter.
Okay, and what's the brand name?
It is a generic coffee.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. We dropped it down to 98% of what you said is true.
Okay, keep going. And it's the worst coffee I've ever tasted.
Because we made it the way you requested the coffee be made.
But still, that makes it 96%.
I agree it's terrible.
Well, then why do you make it?
Because you were the one who wanted it this way.
No, I just wanted strong coffee. I don't care how you make it. Just make me a cup of strong. Frank?
Yes.
Are you finding this humorous?
Yes, I am.
Because you could very quickly become my coffee person.
Coffee maker?
Well, how should I make my coffee?
I'm gonna bring some coffee.
Yeah, you're gonna teach me in a can, from a can, folks.
No. I'm
high quality coffee from a can.
I'm gonna call.
Put in a can back in 1903.
I'm gonna call.
Kept there since 2016.
Who's the coffee bean guy? Jose? No.
Juan Valdez.
Juan. I'm gonna call Juan. We're on first name basis. Juan
Valdez.
That's his last name. We're on a first name basis.
Valdez.
I'm serious. When was the last time you had a really good cup of coffee that I made?
Never.
That you made?
Yeah. You've never had a good cup of coffee that I've made. Because I always let you make the coffee.
Yeah. Has anybody ever else had to have this kind of conversation with Mac? They're difficult, aren't they? Yeah. These are difficult kinds of conversations.
All right, Dateline. I'm going to start with this story because it's sad. I mean, it's really sad. 42-year-old Christy Sheets called her two daughters, Madison, 17, and Taylor, 22, along with her husband, Jason to a family meeting. During the by the way, this is in Houston, where you come from.
Yep. I come from the great state of Texas, yes.
During the meeting, investigators said the mom and wife, Christy, pulled out a gun and fired. That's a family meeting. Striking both of her daughters as they and her husband ran outside. Madison and Taylor both called 911 before they were shot to death by the mother. In a disturbing 911 call, Jason could be heard begging his wife not to shoot. Please don't point the gun at us. I beg you, please put it away, Jason Sheets pleaded. I'm sorry. I promise you, whatever you want. Madison was shot just as she made it outside the home. She was pronounced dead at the scene. Christy fired again in front of the house, hitting Taylor once before going inside to reload. She's coming back again. Oh, she shot her again. The female that was lying on the ground. A neighbor told the 911 dispatcher. Christy allegedly walked back inside the house and shot Taylor one more time. Taylor was rushed to the hospital where she later died. Now there are 2 daughters dead. Officers found Christy in the street and after refusing to drop her weapon was shot and killed by a police officer. I can hear bullets, the neighbor said in the 911 call. She, the shooter, is lying down. It doesn't look like she's moving anymore. Now here's the big surprise on this one. You ready? Christy had a history of mental illness. No kidding. Police had responded to the Texas home for previous altercations stemming from her quote-unquote mental crisis. She had just reunited with Jason after the two separated for a time. Friday, the day he would watch his wife shoot their daughters to death, was his birthday. Witnesses told KHOU in Houston that before the shootings, Christy yelled that she wanted her husband to suffer. Jason was hospitalized for emotional trauma. Photos show him being led away from the scene of the shooting. He survived. Lose your wife, lose your two daughters. Boom, like that. And she has mental illness. Frank?
This story reminds me, I believe it was in Texas also, of Andrea Yates, who drowned her 5 boys in the bathtub. And we had this overwhelming outreach of sympathy for the woman. Now, if this was a man who drowned his 5 kids or a man who shot his 2 children in front of his wife, there would be no such sympathy. But they always write these stories in a sympathetic manner because it's a woman perpetrator, and a woman just couldn't be that dastardly on her own.
I don't think they wrote this making her look like the victim or anything.
It sounded like that she had mental illness, and we're supposed to have sympathy because she had mental illness.
Well, if you pull out a gun and shoot your 2 grown daughters to death and then your husband, don't you think there's probably a mental crisis there somewhere?
Yes, there is.
I mean, you don't just wake up in the morning and say your prayers and read your scripture and then go out and kill your 2 daughters.
But I'm just telling you, these stories are written vastly different if they're written about a man who shoots his children or a woman who shoots his children.
Misogynist or whatever that term is.
Misogyny.
So we get to add to bigot and racist, now
homophobe,
misogynist.
Xenophobe.
Frank, are you a licensed massage therapist? Because I could use.
Don't go. I don't want to. That's a picture. I don't want that in my head now. Yeah,
he's strong.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get tense.
Mr. Clean in
my shoulders
ears.
are tense.
Yeah, I need to relax.
Dateline, Manchester, Iowa. An eastern Iowa judge is accused of throwing a water bottle at her husband and hitting him. Online court records say Judge Stephanie Rottenborg of Manchester is charged with domestic assault in Delaware County. Her attorney, Mark Rader, said Wednesday that she'll plead not guilty. Court documents say a sheriff deputy responded to a 911 call from Rottenborg's husband Friday evening. The documents say that Randall Rottenborg, that's the name, Rattenborg, Rattenborg, told the deputy that his wife threw the water bottle at him and began hitting him because she'd learned he was having an extramarital affair. He suffered a minor lip injury. The documents say Judge Rattenberg admitted throwing the water bottle but denied hitting her husband. That's just crazy.
That would be embarrassing.
Again,
to make
that
the
is-
headlines.
Well, and
That is embarrassing.
And does she remain a judge? I mean, is it like a police officer? Do they suspend her off the bench for a while? What do they? A judge. But come on. Here, let's look at the other story. Christy Sheets kills her two grown adult daughters, and then tries to kill her husband because she has mental issues. Here, and I'm not absolutely in any way, shape, or form saying any domestic violence is acceptable, because it's not.
Right.
Zero. I don't care. Let me tell you something. If you're accused of domestic violence and the first thing out of your mouth after the spouse says they hit me or slapped me or whatever they did is, but you know what she did? Okay, you get the dunce cap and go sit in the corner, because there's nothing that your spouse could do to you that would deserve that you put a hand on your spouse. Now, you got to admit, the judge finding out that her husband's having an affair and all she throws is a water bottle. I mean, seriously? That goes before a judge? But see, they don't do that, do they? They don't get involved with why. It's just wrong, and she'll be charged with domestic abuse, and I don't know if she can keep her judgeship. I have no idea.
Again, as the resident misogynist, the story should have read exactly what you just said. That there's no excuse for domestic abuse, no matter what. But they inserted the fact that the man was cheating, so it's the man's fault.
All right, let's take our first break. We're coming back. Jebediah is producing. Chris Roloff is here. Jill's in the studio. Life today on The Truth.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcastonelive.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
Hey everybody, I brought Northern Lights Pizza! And it's got Graziano sausage!
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens, rock on! This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
21 minutes after 3 o'clock, 3:21 in the afternoon, 29th day of June in the Lord's year 2016. J. Michael McCoy here on The Truth. 99.3. I have told you this is a seller's market. If you've been sitting on your house for a while and you've got an itch to move or downsize or make a difference, you're going to get 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10% more for your house than in a regular market. There's a professional real estate agent by the name of Seth Walker, and Seth knows how to get the most amount of money for your house. You call him, 577-3728. Tell him Matt Olson told you to call him. All right, we are running down the news stories. What?
Well, I was going to comment on what Frank said just before we went to the break on this story about the judge in
Manchester, Iowa.
Manchester, Iowa.
Her husband comes in and tells her that he's been having an extramarital affair. You know, I've never liked that term, extramarital affair. So there are affairs that are acceptable? Extramarital. What other kind of affair is there?
Well, that's outside of marriage, your marriage.
I think that's
How about
just
out of marital affair?
I think that's what that is. That what you're saying, Bob? That's what that phrase just means. Extramarital just means it's outside your marriage.
Well, every affair is outside your marriage.
Sure, it might be. That article might be riddled with redundancies.
Yeah, but you may not be married and still have an affair.
Well, then it's not an affair.
If you're having an affair with a married woman or a married man, a single person having an affair with a married woman or a married man
is still an affair.
Yeah.
Frank should know. He's on, Match.com 24/7.
Well, what Frank said before we went to the break was they wrote this article as though the woman is the victim.
Yes,
Frank.
absolutely.
Frank,
they write
Frank.
these.
She is.
Okay.
The guy had an affair.
But
that's a crime.
But she didn't have now. See, what I hear you saying, Chris. Are you trying to tell me that domestic violence is acceptable if your spouse walks up and says, "I'm having an affair"?
I'm saying that if you have an affair, your spouse is going to be mad at you.
But they can't hit you.
That's a matter of opinion.
Oh,
why is it that we're gonna punish the person who gets mad at the person who did the wrong thing? The person who did the wrong thing here is the person who should be being thrown into the bus, not the woman right now who's having this reaction to someone who violated their marriage covenant. This guy is out of line. This guy should be treated as a person who's out of line. If she had an affair, she should be treated the same way. She was out of line. This is not appropriate. And why is it that for some reason in America, because we just want to have sex with everything that moves, you know what? Hey, it's okay if you have an affair.
First off, let's interject the Bible in here to return good for evil, not evil for evil. So two wrongs don't make a right. So
the guy, what evil is going to befall the guy who had the affair?
God will take care of him. If she remains pure and she doesn't cheat, she doesn't break the covenant, God will deal with his indiscretions.
Well, that's a matter.
Well, that's true, but some people don't. That's not good enough for them.
That may not be.
They
good
want a
enough for
pound
her.
of flesh.
Right.
I just want to say that she in fact is a victim of a crime.
But what if the allegation that he had an affair is false?
But he admitted he did it. He admitted.
He's probably filmed it.
Told the
way
deputy
people
that
are
his
now.
wife threw the water bottle at him and began hitting him because she'd learned he was having an extramarital affair. He suffered a minor lip injury. The documents say the judge, Stephanie Rattenberg, the wife, admitted throwing the water bottle but denied hitting her husband.
Was the punishment befitting the crime? So he had an affair and he got a minor lip injury. Was a minor lip injury the appropriate punishment for having an extramarital affair?
If you're a man and you throw a water bottle at a woman and give her a fat lip, see what happens to you. It won't be pretty because all the feminists will want to hang you up on the nearest tree.
But this is what you want to do to her.
No.
You want to say that what she did was bad. You're doing this. You're doing the same thing that the feminist is doing.
I'm saying that.
Mac was saying that
you're being like a feminist.
Well, I'm just telling you that you don't have any right. You don't have any right to domestic abuse.
That's right.
I agree with you.
There's just no reason.
I agree with you. That's absolutely true. I was just rebutting.
But you say if he's having an affair, she has the right to throw something.
I didn't say she had the right to do it. I just said that she is a victim of a crime. The criminal here is more him than it is her in this case.
It's not a crime to have an extramarital affair.
Yeah, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. You live in some world where, like, the United States of America is the maker of all laws. That's not the world I live in. Last time I heard that having an extramarital affair was a problem. That was a law-breaking offense.
Would Jesus suggest to the man or woman to throw a water bottle at the other and give the other a fat lip?
Those without guilt could
cast the first water bottle.
Thou shalt not cast water bottles upon thy spouse.
Can I move on?
Anyway, you can. He was a bad guy. Shame on him.
Glad to have you with us this afternoon, 27 minutes after 3 here on The Truth, 99.3. I'm J. Michael McCoy. Thanks for listening. Love my job. Couldn't do it without you. To my right is Chris Roloff, the man who supports domestic abuse.
No.
Bob Montserrat, the cat in the hat, watching the chat, and also the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. And our local misogynist, homophobe, racist, bigot,
racist, xenophobe,
pork-hating man, Frank, the verse.
And where is your massage therapy shop at?
No, misogynist.
That would be over on.
Chris,
what?
Look at him.
Look at him.
Would you let that man touch you?
He's got some muscles. I think that he could relax me. I don't know that he's licensed, though.
Strong hands for the shoulders.
I'll give him a license. I just want to watch. This is Mac's World. I can give a license. Brad Sand, if you're listening, as the who is he? He's the
7-star general.
7-star general.
Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, I want you to issue a license to Frank the Verse Thomas to be able to give Chris Roloff a massage.
Range of movement.
Ooh, range of movement.
Is that the name of your massage place?
Yes.
I like it. It's nice. Oh, sorry,
Attention.
sir.
Attention.
Yes.
Range of motion.
Okay.
Off the rails.
The worst cup of coffee I've ever drank. And I'm just going to keep drinking it because I want to keep reminding myself that I shouldn't let you make coffee. Dateline, Des Moines, Iowa. You thought we were weird on the last two stories? Wait till you hear this one. I'm not making this stuff up, kids. This is from the Register. Police are investigating a report of a convenience store clerk claiming he was drugged by eating pizza before being robbed. Des Moines police took a report from a get-and-go store manager in the 800 block of County Line Road. We all know where that is. That's right just north of the bypass. Who witnessed Tuesday's curious robbery on security footage. She told police that according to her footage, a man came into the store during the night shift to bring the 21-year-old clerk some pizza. But when the clerk took a bite, the clerk got wobbly and fell on the floor, according to a police report. The suspect grabs the knocked-out clerk by the legs, drags him into the store's back room. The camera captures the suspect taking $130 worth of quarters, several cartons of cigarettes, and some energy drinks before leaving. You can't make this up. A get-and-go representative said Wednesday that they have reason to believe the clerk may have been involved in the crime. She declined to go into detail. Police are considering this a second-degree robbery, but they think the clerk might have something to do with it. So, in other words, this was all staged for the security cameras. For $130 worth of quarters, several cartons of cigarettes, and some energy drinks.
Why do they think that the clerk was involved?
I don't know.
See, that's kind of suspicious.
Takes one bite of pizza, gets wobbly, falls over.
Well, the thing I don't understand is I'm assuming she ordered the pizza. Because what if you're just there and somebody says, here, I brought you some pizza, somebody you don't know, and you're going to start eating it?
Right. I would advise against that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't eat pizza from strangers.
What could you put on a piece of pizza that would make the clerk go, quote unquote, wobbly and then fell to the floor? Takes a bite.
A roofie.
Takes a what?
A roofie. What's that called?
A roofie?
Roofie. Roofalin. It's a date rape drug.
Oh.
Anchovy. Randy King says anchovies and knock you out.
I love anchovies. So he takes one bite.
He does or she does?
She does. She takes one. No. But when he takes a bite, the clerk got wobbly and fell to the floor. Suspect grabs the knocked out clerk by the legs, drags him into the store. I'm just telling you what the register says.
Maybe it's just written poorly or something. But anyway.
No.
Well, hey, there's, maybe
no.
maybe they just forgot to type the S. It happens. I've done worse.
I think one of the most dangerous jobs is working in a convenience store. They're constantly getting robbed.
I hate to say this, but apparently working at a Get and Go.
Yeah, Get and Go's are worse.
They're getting beat up right now.
Apparently they could have taken some better advice from Bill.
They could have
taken some better advice from Bill Cosby.
Yeah, there you go.
Bill Cosby says never eat the pizza. What does Bill Cosby say?
How to drug your victims.
Oh, gracious.
But I think it's interesting that they think that they have reason to believe. This is the quote. A Get and Go representative said today that they have reason to believe the clerk may have been involved in the crime.
It must be because the two people, if the two people knew each other, that'd be one thing. That would be a reason. Also, if they're doing some kind of, they could test to see if the pizza had, or, there was drugs or poison or something, right? In the person?
Yeah, you could. It's a messy job, but it could be done.
Yeah.
It's a messy job.
Yeah, for the analyst in the crime lab to look for drugs in pepperoni or sausage or cheese and grease and
can't you just take all the push blend and then throw the thermometer in there and then it checks it to see? I mean, isn't it?
We're going to hire you right off.
Apparently, I've never been offered a job in the DCI lab.
Yeah, you got to do an extraction.
All right.
Draw the drug out.
All right. Well, I just think that's interesting, and I would not want my children or grandchildren to be working at...
But there's another component in this story. Have you seen the price of tobacco products, cartons of cigarettes? That's a lot of money involved.
2 cartons of cigarettes, $130 worth of quarters, and a couple of energy drinks. That's the most valuable thing this guy can find?
A guy that needs his caffeine and nicotine fix.
And he had to bring the girl back, so he had to give her some energy drinks, after he knocked her out.
What did they say happened to her? I mean...
Well, we don't know if it's a he or she. You said she and he, and we don't know who's what.
Yeah.
A human of some kind.
I'm just
Or are they transgendered?
Oh, heavens.
It's a transgendered clerk is what the problem is, Bob.
Maybe that's the confusion.
All right, police are investigating a convenience store clerk claiming Des Moines police took a report from a Get and Go store manager who witnessed Tuesday's curious robbery on security footage. She told police...
That's
the she is the manager.
The manager.
According to the footage, a man came into the store during the night shift to bring the 21-year-old clerk some pizza. And why is the age important? Why do we care if she's 21?
I don't know. Does anybody have TV, on the Iowa Public Television? They've got those sub channels, and like the last one is the one that's all black and they just read the newspaper to you. I feel like that's what we're doing, but with like funny commentary.
Okay, we've got an important story coming up next. Chris Roloff will be our reporter on the next story. James Dobson is backing up. And I don't mean like I'm backing it up. I mean like he's saying, well, this Donald Trump Christian thing, I don't know. We'll talk about it.
Northern Lights Pizza's amazing garlic butter makes amazing breadsticks. Now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza. I'm Brian Leach, owner of Service Legends, and my position I'm Nicholas Wonderscheid.
I am Bernie Hobbs.
I'm the service manager,
Marketing Director, and Client Relations Manager.
Everything that we do is about ensuring that we exceed your expectations.
Our clients are important to us, 100%.
We're just focused on heating and cooling. That's the easiest part of our job, actually, is fixing furnaces and air conditioners.
Everyone that we come in touch with, we want to improve lives.
Bottom line is, we've got our installation guarantees, 25% energy savings guarantee, comfort guarantee, temperature selection guarantee, property protection guarantee.
100% satisfaction guaranteed, fixed rate or it's free.
All of those guarantees are backed up with a 100% back guarantee to hold ourselves accountable to making sure that you get what you're after.
Just fixing the problem today. If they have another problem 5 days down the road, it's still fixed rate or it's free.
We use what's called straightforward pricing. Our technicians are going to give you an exact to-the-penny price on what it's going to take before they move forward with any repair. That way you know what to expect.
It's the same price every day.
No surprises.
If you get off work at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, you come home, you realize that, oh, my furnace is broken. Now you need to call somebody out that night. You shouldn't have to pay more for that.
We're guaranteeing service 24/7.
We run afternoons, evenings, nights, weekends. We're staffed to work that.
Phone rings at 3 in the morning. I'll take
the phones the same way during the day as they do at night.
It's a great day at your service company. How can we make you smile?
That's the only way to provide true 24-hour service.
When you're able to let somebody actually live in their home safely when they weren't able to do that before, where they don't have to stay up at night and worry about, is the heat going to come back on? Are we going to freeze the pipes? Is the baby in the room next door going to be sick because they got too cold? When you're able to help somebody overcome challenges like that, that's impacting a life. That makes a difference. I get goosebumps thinking about it.
I love the team. I love the people that I work with.
We have fun, but we work hard.
I call them my ambassadors of legendary service. If you could just envision what that is, that's who we're sending to your home.
They literally will call in, pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I want to talk to your manager. And I get on the phone, they're like, that technician that was at my house was the greatest technician ever. That's cool to me.
We want to brighten people's days.
Every person that we have going into the house has gone through an extensive background check.
Drug testing, we have a very thorough interview process that 1 out of 140 people make it through.
If we promise you something, that's what you're going to get, no matter what.
We're here when you need us to protect the safety and comfort of your family.
If you're not happy, we're going to make it right.
If we're willing to put what type of work do you think we do?
Give us a call. We're there for you 24/7. 5 days a year.
Enough said.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
22 minutes before the top of the hour, Salem Radio Network News, and then it's Max World Showtime. 515-244-0077, that's the number. You can call if you want to have your voice heard, and also you can text at 515-809-0993. You know what I want to talk about next hour? I want to talk about life verses. That's been something I've been wanting to talk about on the radio for a while, and we never get around to it, and we don't have a guest scheduled today. Well, we did, but Frank messed it up, so they didn't show up. So I want to talk about life verses. Doesn't everybody have a life verse who's a Christian? Well, do you have a life verse? Let me start with that. Do you, Harry and the Hendersons, have a life verse?
My name's Chris, and no, but I have verses that, passages of Scripture that at times are very important to me that I'm hanging on to, yeah.
So that's a life verse.
Okay, if that's what you want to call it. Generally, when I think of a life verse, it's that one verse that you keep. It's
a verse
your whole life. It's your guiding principle. No, I don't have that.
You don't have that one?
No, but I think Scripture is my guiding principle. But at times, there's definitely stuff that is important to me. And I have some that I'd be willing to share later.
Do you have one, Frank? Now, wait. Hold on.
I am the verse.
Hold on. If you give a life verse, you have to give it in New Living Translation, not the King James from 2,000 years ago.
No, I do not have a life verse, but like Chris, I rely on a series of verses that give me inspiration. And as someone who's been nicknamed the verse, that means I have a number of verses.
Jebediah, you're a Catholic. Do you have a life verse?
Not off the top of my head, but I could give you one.
Okay. Well, what do you mean you could give me one? You said you don't have one.
Well,
are you going to Google life verses?
Got some right here.
Yeah. he's Googled.
I'm way ahead of you.
Quick
way ahead
Google
of
a life verse, and I'll read one.
I am the way, the truth, and the life.
You are?
Nobody gets
I didn't
to
think
the
it was
Father
you.
but through me.
I thought it was Jesus.
No, I just was saying.
Oh.
Ditto for me, what he said, Chris and Frank.
You don't have one, you
I
have
don't
many.
Have one. Yeah, many.
Mac, what's your life verse?
John 6:44.
I will woo you into a relationship with.
Yep, that's the verse that changed my life. Hey, God guy, God will woo you into a relationship with his son, Jesus Christ. They are the same. 8 minutes after 6 o'clock on the 8th day of August, 2011. By R.C. Sproul.
On 99.3 FM, The Truth.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's dig into this Dobson story. Because yesterday...
Dobson.
Yesterday, we played an audio cut that we pulled out of the middle of an interview that he was doing out at that 400 evangelicals go out and meet Trump. And he claims that he witnessed Donald Trump.
No, his claim was that he knew a lady, who we now know who that lady is, but he said initially that he knew a woman who had led Trump in a prayer. I don't know, was there when Trump accepted a relationship with Christ, were Dobson's words. And now he's kind of pulling that back. And Bob actually has the more recent quote where he was interviewed once again, and he said something that seemed to be slightly less convincing. What did Dobson say this time, Bob?
Well, what he said, this is a quote from Charisma magazine. Only the Lord knows the condition of a person's heart. I can only tell you what I've heard. First, Trump appears to be tender to things of the Spirit. I also hear that Paula White has known Trump for years and that she personally led him to Christ. Did I know that for sure? No. Do I know the details of that alleged conversation? I can't say that I do. But there are many Christian leaders who are serving on the Faith Advisory Committee for Trump in the future. I am among them. There are about 45 of us. That includes Franklin Graham, Robert Jeffress, Jack Graham, Ben Carson, James Robeson, Jerry Johnson, and many others whom you would probably know. We've all agreed to serve.
Vanderplaat's on that?
I think he is.
Yeah, I think he is.
He's not on the list. I saw the list. He was at the event Tuesday, but there are a lot of people at the event Tuesday, but I don't think that Vanderplaat's is in the advisory list.
Yeah, we've all agreed to serve. How will that play out if Trump becomes president? I don't know. It's a good start, I would think. If anything, this man is a baby Christian who doesn't have a clue about how believers think, talk, and act. All I can tell you is that we have only two choices, Hillary or Donald. Hillary scares me to death. And if Christians stay home because he isn't a better candidate...
she puts her makeup on.
Yeah. Hillary will run the world for perhaps 8 years. The very thought of that haunts my nights and days.
This is Dobson saying this?
This is Dobson saying that. One thing is sure. We need to be in prayer for our nation at this time of crisis.
Well, I think one of the couple of things that jump out there for me...
I'm really uncomfortable with this whole thing. Go ahead.
Well, why are you uncomfortable about it? What's uncomfortable about it?
Because I think James Dobson's the real deal.
He is the real deal.
Well, I think he's playing in politics. I think he's lending his heavyweight name and trying to tell us that Trump is a baby Christian.
Well, now, in all fairness, he's been doing that for a very, 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 you told me not to say the same thing a lot, very, 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 very long time.
Who has?
James Dobson.
About Trump?
No, just being involved in politics the way that he is. I mean, he is a part of the Christian right, the moral majority, the evangelical right. He is a key figure within that Christian political movement. And we tried to talk about this the other day on the radio, and I don't know that we got into the depths of it. And I asked the question.
That's because I was gone.
You were gone. We didn't get into the depths of it. I asked the question, is the evangelical right, that moral majority, stuff like this that James Dobson is doing, is that stuff hindering really the movement of the gospel? And I posit that it is, simply because there is an obsession amongst this group, the evangelical right, the moral majority, which Dr. James Dobson is a part of, that seems to be obsessed with the Republican Party and the Republican Party alone, and puts their hope in political officials, government officials to save the country. And that's a wrong placed hope. It doesn't matter if Donald Trump is going to make a great president or not. That's irrelevant. Even if Donald Trump was the guy we think is going to be the best president of the United States, he's not the savior of the United States. The Lord Jesus Christ is still the only one who saves. He's the only one who actually has the words of eternal life, the words that give us life, that give us dignity, that give us humanity, and so on. And I think that's kind of the confusion here.
But my issue is, and I've got some friends who are constantly stirring the pot for a third party. The problem of it is, in a two-party system, you have to work to change within the party. So what's Dobson's option? To go over and try to work within the Democrat Party? So you have to work with the people that you think that you have some influence over.
And to that point, I completely agree with you. And to that point, I completely agree with you. And I think that is why Christians should continue to, and I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth here, but that's why Christians should be involved in politics. Because we should be involved in helping craft a country that is best for all citizens. As Christians, we are taught through Scripture what is best for all humanity. And we want to be involved in politics, and we want to be involved in the process so that we can help elect leaders who also share those values. But at some times, we have to say, that's not our guy. If that person isn't doing that at all, we can't put our stamp of approval on it. I just don't get why. You can vote for Donald Trump. James Dobson wants to vote for Donald Trump. Great. That's fine.
But why do you have to put lipstick on the pig?
Why do you have to pretend like this guy shares our values? Maybe we can just say, this guy doesn't share our values, but I really think he's the best choice we have. He would make an outstanding president, even though he doesn't share my values. Why can't we say that? Why do we have to want him to share our values?
I don't.
Hypocrisy.
I know that I'm not voting for Sabbath school leader.
Right. But are we kind of, do we all agree in that? Is it do you understand what I'm saying? Are we kind of, no.
I don't understand what you're saying. Say it once.
Yeah, agree on what, Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Jeff. Do we all agree that the person that we're voting for should just be the best person for the job regardless of their faith?
Yes.
Okay. Then there's not much of a conversation here then.
Why, you think their faith ought to make a difference?
Well, I think that is what the moral majority, the evangelical right, that movement, they're trying to tell us that is important.
515-244-0077. That's the number you can dial if you'd like to get your voice in here. You could also text us at the Service Legends Truth text line at 515-809-0993. It seems that founder of the Focus on the Family, James Dobson, is backpedaling and not being as solid as he was the other day that Donald Trump is a Christian. Does that matter to you? We'll talk about it next.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Credit cards are like grandkids. They love you, sometimes get out of control, and it's fun to get a new one. Who can stop them from piling on?
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of Des Moines. At the end of the day, you can return the grandkids, but you're stuck paying off bad credit card debt. We'll help you put the fun back into using credit cards responsibly. Right, kids?
Yeah! If you need help getting credit cards off your back, call Consumer Credit of Des Moines.
Rockton Prevention is celebrating 25 years of creating a caring community. We want to say thank you to the tens of thousands of Rock High School mentors that have carried our message of health, love, and encouragement to over 1.5 million children, teachers, and parents. Our mentors teach children methods and skills to prevent bullying and drug use. Thank you to all the school administrators, teachers, and counselors for their opportunity to serve you. Rock on, fair citizens. Rock on. This is Pat McManus for Rockton Prevention, the Richard O. Jacobson Foundation, and this station.
Northern Lights Pizza, home of the tasty crust. Our garlic butter sauce now available in 12-ounce bottles at Northern Lights, Hy-Vee, and Graziano's.
Northern Lights Pizza.
Hi, my name is David Burrier, your Hope Coach. I host a live weekly talk show called I've Been There every Thursday afternoon at 5:30, right here on webcastonelive.com, and on my weekly radio program Saturday mornings at 10 on Truth Network 99.3 FM. I interview common everyday people who have survived incredible life challenges and who testify to God's faithfulness in the midst of their storms. So join me as we bring a message of hope and encouragement. Everybody needs hope. I know, because I've been there.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live. From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
10 minutes before 4 o'clock, Salem Radio Network News. And then, of course, we're coming back next hour, and we're just going to cover you with Jesus. I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I want to do it. I want to talk about life verses. I want to talk about Bible verses that are important to you, the ones that mean the most to you. And I'm surrounded by people who just can't pick one. Chris Roloff says, well, he's got a lot of Bible verses that mean a lot, but he doesn't have one specific one. Really? Don't you have one? Am I the only guy in the room that's got one that means more to me than anything else?
Mac, I can give you one.
A life verse? Your life verse?
I don't know if we can classify life verse.
Well,
but
you just hold that thought till we get to next hour.
He just Googled it. Are you just going to tell us what Google's life verse is?
No, it just so I can get it correct. I do have a favorite that I picked out. Yeah,
I'm just teasing you, Jeb. You know that.
It's okay, Chris.
All right, so tell me which one is your favorite.
All right, it's Psalms 23:4.
Ooh.
Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me.
23:4. Okay, that's going to be Jeb. So I'm going to write these down. And maybe, can we give a prize for the one that I like the best?
Yeah, it's going to be yours.
Can we like maybe give a gallon of your homemade Special Delight coffee?
No.
Come on, we'll get one of them little Starbucks, little brown plastic containers, and give it to them, and we'll let other people taste your coffee. Chris makes the worst coffee, I'm just telling you. All right, so back to this Dobson thing. So do you think Dobson's trying to put lipstick on a pig, and you know what I mean by that?
I don't. I don't. I think, and I said this in the break, I think James Dobson, like too many evangelicals, is afraid of the future.
James Dobson, like too many evangelicals, is afraid of the future.
Yeah. He said it right there in that quote. He is terrified. He has nightmares of Hillary Clinton being president for the next 8 years.
Oh, I see.
That is his greatest fear.
Well,
Jesus said he's overcome the world. Jesus said he's the Lord of heaven and earth.
Yeah, but see, with your thinking, it's your people type of thinking that got us all these screwed up laws because the church didn't step up and stand up and say no.
Actually, it's because the church has failed to make disciples, and the amount of Bible-believing Christians in the United States is so small that their voting percentage isn't enough to get the kind of people we want elected, Mac. That's how that works. It's not because James Dobson says we should vote for Donald Trump. In fact, James Dobson saying we should vote for Donald Trump is the very reason we're in this predicament, because evangelicals leaders have told us that we should vote for people who don't share our values, and they've been doing it to us since the 1980s, Mac. What the church should be doing instead is making disciples so that there are more Christians in the United States that have a biblical worldview, so that when they go to the voting booth, they vote according to biblical standards.
Well, let's remind the audience that James Dobson was originally a Ted Cruz supporter.
Okay.
And clearly he didn't get Ted Cruz, so instead of taking his ball and going home and pouting, he's willing to work with who's left standing. Some of these other guys, like Steve Deace, like Tim Overland, some of these other folks, they're not willing to bend, yield, bow to Donald Trump. It's never Donald Trump for them. James Dobson is just being a pragmatist and saying, well, he's the best guy standing, so we got to work with him.
515-244-0077. That's the number you can call in. You can also send us a text at Service Legends text line at 515-809-0993. And next hour, we're not going to be talking about politics because Gary doesn't like it. We're going to be talking about Jesus. Can you talk about Jesus next hour? Can you just get your dander down?
I thought I just was. As a matter of fact, I think that's exactly what I was just talking about.
He would love to talk about Jesus.
In fact, I think that Jesus called us to go and make disciples, and James Dobson wants us to elect an idiot for president of the United States. I would rather talk about what Jesus wants us to do.
I think we should take James Dobson off the radio right now.
No, I think he's an incredible broadcaster, and he's made a great impact in my life and the life of many others. I have many James Dobson books, and I think he's an incredibly smart man. His focus ought to be on growing Christians, making disciples, not being involved in trying to figure out if Donald Trump is going to be. It's irrelevant if Donald Trump's a Christian. If you think he's the right man for the job, vote for Donald Trump. I said that before the caucus here in the state of Iowa. I said, I don't care if Donald Trump's a Christian. Let's just get it on the table. I don't think the man is. I got yelled at for 8 minutes because I said Donald Trump's not a Christian. I don't care.
By Tanya?
By Tanya. Yeah, Tana. And it still stands. It's irrelevant. Is he the right guy for the job? To me, I don't think he's the right guy for the job. But as Frank pointed out, we've got a two-party system. What are we going to do? I don't know what we're going to do, and I don't have a great answer for that. But that's where my frustration lives.
Didn't Jimmy Carter win the evangelical vote because he was a Christian?
Yes.
Yeah.
How did that turn out?
Yeah, really bad. Really, really bad.
Who do we get to thank for that? Because I didn't vote for him.
I don't know. I voted that year, and I voted for whoever.
Gerald Ford.
Gerald Ford?
Yes.
Okay, I voted for Gerald Ford then. The thing that bothers me is that James Dobson has put his foot, his whole foot in the water. And I just have a challenge with that. But you're telling me he's always been kind of political.
Yes, he's a part of the moral majority of the evangelical. Look, Steve Deace, a mutual friend of ours. We all love Steve. Everybody loves Steve. Everybody has an opinion of Steve. He wrote a book called "We Won't Get Fooled Again."
Yes.
Read it.
Why?
Because this is what he's talking about. This is how we get fooled again and again and again and again and again and again and again.
This is unlike any presidential election we've had, because we've had the Tea Party come to the defense of the Republicans twice and give them majority in the House and the Senate, and they've squandered that and done nothing with it. They've not sent one bill to Obama to veto. The people who have voted for these quote-unquote Christians that get up and say how Christian they are and what they're going to fight up against don't do what they say they're going to do, so therefore the people are ticked off, and they're willing to give a businessman who at least they feel is not lying to them a chance, because he can't do any worse than the others they've already sent there prior.
All right. We're going to take a break up against the news. And when we come back, going to just chill all this political talk. And
take it down.
Chris is going to have to just take a chill pill because you're just getting all too excited over there, Mr. Roloff. And we're going to talk about life verses. Lindsay just sent me her life verse. Says, changed my life when I read it at the perfect time last November. Proverbs 4:23, which says, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Lindsay, thanks for sending your life verse. We'll be looking for yours as we come back from the top of the hour break here on The Truth. That's right, we are The Truth. 99.3 FM on your dial, brand new in Des Moines. 53 weeks old, and we are glad to be here. We are always interested in what you have to say about our programming and other things. And I know it's good when you tell me you like the programming, but it's really important that you tell me when you don't, because that's what we need to hear. All right, Jebediah is producing. Chris Roloff is here, steam coming out of his ears. He could bake clams with that steam. Frank the Verse, Bob Monster at the Cat in the Hat watching the chat, and I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. Love this job. Couldn't do it without you.